What's going on, y'all? Welcome to Breaking the Kernel. I'm your host, Albert, and Michelle here is one of my favorite authors right now. One of my favorite indie authors for sure. Because I told her this before. I want to make sure I give you props for this because I myself am not the biggest reader out there. I do read my books. It takes me a lot of time. But I want to say, when I picked up the North Tower, which was very coincidental because I just happened to be at Barnes and Nobles and I saw a stand and I saw an author right there, very passionate, different books, loved to spread. There's a separate table too that was a little bit off that had like a lot of your books on it stacked as well. And I was like, "What's going on?" And we engaged in a really great conversation. So I had to pick up the book, and you were really generous enough to sign it. I have not put it back down since then. This book has passed hands in this house. I'm telling you right now. I want you all to know I'm not trying to like over exaggerate this. We are not readers in this household, but this is really one of those books, and Michelle's one of those people. Thank you for joining the podcast. How are you?
Oh my gosh, thank you so much for having me and for all of your kind words. I love that you're passing it around. That's really exciting to me. But yeah, I'm doing good. I'm thrilled to be here and to be talking to you again after so long.
Yeah,
'Cause I think we met in end of June, end of
I was
July.
wearing short sleeve shirts, so it was definitely warmer. It was warmer than it is now. I know that much.
Yes.
But yeah, it's been a while. I'm happy you're doing great. And speaking of your books, because not just one, something that I always really wanted to ask you and get more in depth, I guess, really was what went like, what, how did you get into writing? I mean, because one thing I really credit you for while I'm reading this is that you really transport me into whatever world that you set up, right? Like speaking specifically for the North Tower, the one I read, is that I think you use a lot of great descriptive words and the way
Thank
you
you.
transport me, even with someone that's not a reader like me. So for me, it's harder, I guess, to imagine the setting, to imagine these characters and all these things. But you use really great descriptive words and really great ways to set up the world in every scene when the dialogue is going between characters. So when did you get into writing?
Oh, the first story I ever like actually typed out, or I actually started handwriting them all, was when I was 13. But before then, I had little tiny sticky notes and little stories that I had in my brain. But the one at 13, I was like, oh, I actually kind of want to remember this and go back and look at it later. So I decided to actually write it down. Was when I was 13. Was the first original one. It will never see the light of day. Oh my God, it's terrible. But it is there in the Michelle universe.
So when you're going back to going back to that teenage, right, teenage age with the writing and doing these things, and obviously your world for anyone that's 13, like their world is a lot more limited than as obviously us as adults. So like
Oh, for sure.
it's just so to spin off the question when you're writing back then, what was the feeling like that made you like, okay, I want to continue doing, like, was there like, oh, I really like these, like writing about characters, or was it like, oh, I really like set up these fantasy worlds, like if you can remember, was there any moment where you're like, or anything in particular when you're writing where you're like, okay, this is something I really do like about writing, and then eventually just kind of like got more well rounded with it?
Yeah, I mean, it was just so natural to me to write down my daydreams. But with the Royal Trilogy, The North Tower is the first book of it. With that series specifically, I just had a question that I wanted answered. I'm have been and always will be a very avid reader. So back then, I read a ton of stories. I still do. And the question that I had was, I wanted to know what it would be like if the good guy was related to the bad guy. So Charlie is our protagonist. How would her story be shaped knowing that she's related to Lawrence, who is the overall antagonist of the trilogy? And so I had that question, and that really developed the story of me answering it. And then I grew up on stories like Harry Potter, Percy Jackson, Chronicles of Narnia. So a lot of magic and fantasy, and all of that background had me ask a lot more questions of, well, can you run out of magic? Can one magic user have more magic than another? What does a lot of magic do to the world around them? Does it affect the user itself? And so all of those questions kind of formed around that main one of, what would it look like if our good guy is related to the bad guy? And then 3 books later, here we are.
No, that's great. I think that's something that's really, that lives through your writing, is that like as someone who's like read it and then going through it again, yeah, I'm starting to pick up like a lot of the nuances and a lot of those traits that you just listed about when it comes to your characters, and and just like seeing where you want to go with the story, and then how you kind of like set things up for the next one and the next one, and like these events, which someone as a writer myself always found that I still struggle with to this day, is like doing some executing in some of those lanes. So seeing you do it, and like actually being able to like converse with you, I'm like, okay, I started to see like the vision right there. So that's something I really appreciated.
And it
um
wasn't like a one and go either. Like I've been writing this trilogy for 11 to 13 years. So like the first
oh, wow.
draft is significantly different than the book that you have right now. And as it should be. First drafts are never great, but the goal is just to get the words out so you can shape it later. But I wrote the whole trilogy before I started publishing, so that way I could go back and add those little Easter eggs, those little seeds that would grow for the climax of the North Tower. But also, there's little Easter eggs for stuff that's going to happen in the third one too. So thank you for the compliment. But it wasn't just like one and done. It's perfect. Here we go. It took a hot minute to get it to where it is.
And actually, I think that's a great segue into the next question, because I was going to ask like what the motivation behind the North Tower is, because I feel like when I read this, like you said, how long you spent on it and really grinding out, and the fact that you like really is like, okay, let me write multiple and then like go back, because at least from my experience, like usually people write the first one or the second one, like just go kind of book to book, or like, and then that's where kind of the struggle comes, and sometimes like really years of difference between releases and things like that. So what was the motivation behind the North Tower? How did you get from, okay, I'm writing about these daydreams, and I'm doing these writing exercises, and then eventually it turns into, hey, like I'm going to Barnes and Nobles, all right, I'm one of them, so I got my book out here. Like, talk to us a little bit about the motivation behind the North Tower.
I loved the story that kind of came out of that question of good guy being related to bad guy. I love Charlie. I love, which I think is kind of like a controversial statement to have, of like the main character is my favorite. Usually it's like the side character or somebody else. But I really enjoy being in her head and seeing how she handles situations, and then to see her interact with other characters. And Michael Kale, who you meet in the first book, is also one of my babies, one of my darlings. And so I just loved their world and how they interacted with each other. And I wanted to share it with people, because I think that's one of the best things in the world, is when you find somebody who's read the same book as you, or watched the same
Yeah.
TV show, watched the same movie, loves the same sport. Like immediately you have a friend in the first 3 seconds of that being realized. And so I wanted to have those conversations with readers about something that I created. And I was very lucky to have some friends who were very persistent in asking for me to read old manuscripts, and bless them for having read such terrible writing multiple times. But they really spurred me on to be like, this is good. Other people will read it, and they will want to read it. You should do something with it. Because I think if it was just me, it might still be on my computer as just a thing that I would go back and read by myself. So the support of people really helped, and the fact that I just wanted to share it and talk about it with people, and just welcome people into this little world that I had created.
Well, hey, shout out to your friends, because I'm enjoying your work. So shout out to them. Shout out to you and them for real for that. No, that's
Shout out to
that's a
Jess.
beautiful thing. Shout out to Jess. That's a beautiful thing though, because I I think we talked about this when I first met you. Is that also like for me? 'Cause I wrote a poetry book that kind of hybrid
Yes.
as a photo book as well, and like I had a lot of reserves about publishing that, especially because poems really are, like, at least mine are very like intimate to me and who I am, and then release it to that world and stuff like that. Was something that I was like, oh, I don't know if I want to do that. But then you kind of get those, like you said, we're blessed with good circles around us that kind of like help push those ideas through. So it's not just a doc in the computer that's just like, oh, what if I released this? What would happen? Stuff like that. You actually took took these ideas into action, and then now you're here, and a lot of your fans, I'm sure, are very grateful for that because I feel like I just like hearing what I like, the positive reviews I've seen on this and how what I think about it as well. Like I really feel like you did something great with this one, so that's something I really appreciated. And another thing I really appreciated
Thank
is the
you.
characters. The characters are amazing, and I
Thank
feel
you.
like
I
to
love them.
me they feel yeah they feel fleshed out. They feel fleshed out. I don't feel like at least for and I feel like this is subjective, but what I'm about to say is that like I feel like sometimes everyone sometimes like characters can be a little slow to get into the introduction phase and
Mm,
for us to get to know them, and that's by design of like how the story is. So that's not necessarily like a bad thing is what I was trying to say,
right.
but I feel like for your story I just really locked into these characters when when I meet them I feel like I met them, and really like I really just like the process of like these characters and what they go through and how they interact with one another. So I was curious, like, what is your process when it comes to developing characters?
It's honestly different for each one. I wish it was a set in stone way because that would make my life so much easier. But like Michael, he just kind of popped on the page, fully fleshed out, wearing a leather jacket, was brooding and super angry about something. And I was like, cool, we're not changing a single thing about you. Charlie took kind of some developing and trying to figure out, all right, well, if this happens to you, then that means you react this way in other situations. So I had to kind of develop her after knowing what her backstory was, kind of having to like shape and reshape and like, oh, this actually doesn't make sense anymore, or that's such an old draft version of Charlie. She doesn't say things like that anymore. So she took a lot more developing and coercing to become who she was, whereas some characters just popped on the page and it was like, done. We are moving forward. We are going to, there is nothing I would change about you whatsoever. But I think what I really loved about creating these characters was kind of giving them like their staple piece. So like for Michael, it's his leather jacket. For Charlie, she wears a light blue hoodie. There's a Lawrence who's our antagonist. He wears a full red suit. So it was just like very stark in my mind of color wise, like who was each person, and then you have like a second layer. So like Charlie loves chocolate covered raisins. That's another layer of who she is. So it's just kind of unfurling all of these layers of each character. Like in book two, you learn what Michael's favorite ice cream is. It's just like each character, like real people, we all have our
Yeah.
favorite things and things we like to do and things that we absolutely hate. So instilling those into characters is what makes them real. Because nobody's just like, oh, I'm wishy washy and I don't really care. Everyone cares about something. So you have to give characters what they care about and what they don't care about. And that's what's fun is when you give characters something that they hate because it's fun to see how that comes out.
No, I think that's great. I feel like that's a really cool way to go about developing your characters, especially the process that you personally took to write these characters and write these books. And I feel like that's something that a lot of people miss in movies. From me going from the movie realm as a director and writer is like sometimes people make characters a little too flat and they don't really
Mm,
like they're not realistic. Like you can't like really like if no one can I feel like if no one can identify with any of these characters, even if it's a villain, not saying that like the ideals or ethos is the same, but just like okay, I can see where this person is coming from, or I can relate to this
right.
side character or this other character. I feel like then it comes that detachment, and then it kind of ruins the immersiveness of
Mm-hmm.
whatever the media is, whether it's books or whether it's movies. So seeing or hearing your approach and reading it, and then seeing like hearing how you go about it and how you develop these characters makes sense of why like okay, I can see myself really liking these characters. I can see myself um not like being super excited to see what's coming next for these characters
Yeah.
when it comes to the next book. And
One of
so,
the, sorry.
oh no, 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 go ahead, please, go ahead.
One of the coolest things I've heard, I think Tom Hiddleston said it for an interview for Loki in the Marvel Universe, was that the bad guy thinks that they're the protagonist in their own story. And it's so true. Like, I'm the main character of mine, you're the main character of yours. And people sometimes they're the villain in our story, but in their story, we might be the villain or we're just a side character. And so that really got me into thinking each character needs to have their own motivations in each of the scenes. Because no one just like walks into a room and is like, I don't care why I'm here. I'm a prop. Or what's an NPC in like a video game? They're
NPC,
just there
yeah.
to further the plot. Like everybody has their own plot going on. So if you have a scene with multiple characters, what is each motivation, what each of theirs motivation for being there, and does it derail the main character's plot, does it further it, like what is everybody's motivations? And that's really cool to explore, sometimes super frustrating because it derails all of the things, but most of the time it's pretty cool to see each person's personality kind of shape the scene and where it's going.
You know, that's actually a great way to go about it because I feel like a lot of people don't think of it that way, and it's also really great that that's like a mindset you bring to writing your characters. Because again, I think that just speaks out to how you're able to flesh them out so well and make them feel alive and make them feel like a part of the story, no matter what's going on or who the emphasis or focus might be on in this particular scene or particular confrontation and things like that. And I think that really speaks to like a great mentality to have, like going into it. Because something else I really liked about your writing personally is that when you're writing these graphic moments or you're describing something, you're using a lot of great descriptive words, using a lot of ways to kind of like help paint the image of what I'm reading. Again, especially if someone who's more of like a movie and TV show person, it's hard for me to read something sometimes and be like, okay, I can imagine what's happening.
Mm.
I can imagine this world. And something I think you did really well is do that. You really help paint the picture. And if you can paint the picture for me, I'm sure you can paint the picture for anybody. So that's a great
Well,
compliment.
thank you.
Is how seamless it can be in terms of your writing. I know that takes a lot of practice, and like you said, a lot of rewrites and things like that. But when you're writing these descriptive moments in your book, how do you go about envisioning this scene in order to translate it for people like myself to be able to see what you're trying to convey to us?
I love what you said about experience, and I think that has a lot to do with it. When I first wrote the story, starting it at 15 is when I started writing The North Tower. I didn't have a ton of life experience or sensory words, just because I hadn't lived a lot of this. I mean, nobody should live the situations that Charlotte goes through. I will say that it's terrible. She goes through a lot of hard things, but I hadn't learned what the words to some of those situations. And so as I've gotten older and I've grown up and I've done different things, I've kind of collected different experiences and different words to use them. I think what really helps with that is reading different books and seeing how people describe other things. Because it, not to like copy it exactly word for word, but I remember reading a book where it's The Raven Cycle by Maggie Stiefvater. She is a beautiful author who just her characters are so vivid and her storylines are so beautifully unique. But I remember in one of the books, I can't even remember what it was, but she described something. And I was like, we can describe things like that? Like that's allowed?
Yeah.
But like there's no real rules with writing. I mean, obviously punctuation and grammar, but describe things how you see them and then kind of get creative and on what words you use to make it sharper or to bring it more into focus to what's in my head to get it out. Um, Also, I've watched a lot of movies. I'm a huge TV watcher. And so being able to see a lot of different scenes, to be able to like pause it and be like, all right, in this battle scene I'll just use Age of Ultron, great film, where there's all of this fighting going around to
Wait,
stop and,
wait, wait,
oh, here we go.
wait, wait. No, I swear. Wait, we're talking about Avengers: Age of Ultron, right?
Oh yeah, yeah. I'm an MCU girl. Hmm.
As you should be. I'm just surprised Age of.
Thank
Okay,
you.
go ahead.
Oh
Continue.
no, it's probably top five favorite Marvel films for me, and I think that might
Really?
be a controversy. Yeah, are you
It
kidding me?
is. It is a
Wanda
controversy.
ripping out Ultron's heart, like
Okay, that's
yes.
cool. Yeah, you're right. You're right.
See,
Okay,
I'm a
respect.
huge fan of consequences, and Age of Ultron
Okay,
is the consequences of the first Avenger movies and
true,
all of the other ones
true.
that come up with it. So I love seeing, oh, this is what you have to deal with because of all of the other stuff that you did. Like you did destroy New York. There has to be
Yep.
some ramifications behind that.
Yep.
So that's one of the reasons why I super
That's
love that
fair.
movie.
Respect. Respect.
Thank you so much. And I know it's a weird one to choose, but also
No.
Vision, Paul Bettany is Vision. Like, come on! It's so good. The hammer scene where they're all trying to pick up
Yeah.
Thor's hammer. Like, come on! It's so
Yeah.
good.
Respect. Okay. I see
Thank
you.
you.
Go ahead. My bad. I didn't mean to break your train of thought.
No, no, I will talk about Marvel any day of the week. But like stopping it in a scene where, like, obviously, I'm never going to be in a battle surrounded by robots, or who knows, maybe that's in the future. We don't know.
It could be.
Um,
Them Tesla's boss are kind of crazy, but go ahead.
oh my gosh, they're so creepy looking.
They are.
But yeah, to pause it and to look at it and go, okay, what do I see? And there's ash, there's smoke, and then kind of distill it into the five senses. That was one of the best writing advices that I got. Was in each scene, four of the five senses should be present. Like obviously, not all the scenes you're tasting something, but like in that scene, what are you seeing? What are you feeling? What are you smelling? What are you hearing? Can you taste anything? And based on those, that really brings the scene to be vivid because not everybody's going to be like, oh yeah, the sun was hot. Well, great. What else is happening around you? You have to kind of like paint the scene with sensory
Yeah,
words.
that's true. No, I feel wow. Yeah, you took me down a rabbit hole. We wanna, yeah, like a good rabbit hole. Like that's that. Yeah,
Oh,
you're right
good.
about that. You're
Glad you
right
enjoyed the
about that.
journey.
That's a lot to think about because I feel like it's one of those things where I feel like sometimes I always tell my friend about this is like the people who concentrate on the smaller details when it comes to something like what we do, whether it's movies, books, anything of the creative arts, the small details that other people wouldn't necessarily spend as much time on is what can separate certain people or certain works of fiction and all these different things,
Mm-hmm.
nonfiction books, all the whatever you're working on. And I feel like just hearing your thought process about how you think about it, how you like materialize it for us as the readers to enjoy. And that's something that not everyone does all the time. That's something that's like, especially I feel like in our space, like sometimes it's everyone for various reasons. Some people sometimes like deadlines, or like sometimes it's like okay, I
Mm-hmm.
kind of just want to get this out, or like sometimes like I can explain this and here instead of like no, but this is the moment right here, and to help the moment breathe a little bit and to help
Ooh,
you
I
really
love that.
thank you. I try my best, I try my, but
There's that
to let a
poetry
moment
coming out of
breathe.
you already.
That's see, yeah, I can't shut it off. But yeah, let the moment breathe a little bit and let people kind of sit in this moment and like enjoy these characters. Whether it could be a play frame. Really, I always think of it like a play frame because in comedy, it's always a play frame that people know. Okay, in this moment we're joking or we're doing stuff like that. So like when you
Mm.
have these moments in your book, you want to let people breathe. It could be for comedic effect. It could be for drama, and I feel like sometimes that's sometimes the where MCU even struggles with sometimes is that instead of letting moments breathe, like let's say a death happens, it's like okay, there's a joke in there. It's like no, you should
Oh my
let it
gosh,
breathe a little
yes.
bit. You should let it breathe a little bit so we can like enjoy this moment and you can make a call back to this later that can be a joke or something. But right now, this
Yeah.
is like a serious moment or action moment, and you need to give your audience some time to breathe. So
Well, that's why
hearing
the
how you went,
earlier
that was good.
MCU movies were so good is because it hit
Yeah,
those beats. It gave you that drama and that moment to
yeah,
soak it in, and then we'll throw in a joke in there, but then we'll keep on going. Versus some of the later ones do rely on jokes a little too much, but
a lot. Well, yeah, that's being
yeah, just
generous.
a little too
But
much.
yeah, yeah,
They're
that's
getting
very
better at it.
true.
I think they're reeling it back in, but yeah, I totally get that.
Yeah, I think Shang-Chi was one of those movies where I feel like they did a good balance of that. And because
Mm,
a lot of dramatic moments in that they have to let it breathe to help the
yes.
character grow and do some things. So I felt like they did a good turn there. And then Thor: Love and Thunder happened. But besides that,
Yes.
I feel like I feel like they're on a good track.
Yeah.
Um, but something I also wanted to ask is like, how does it feel to travel? Talking about you now as an author, right? We talked about the book, we love the book, but you as an author, I know, I just want to know how it feels to go around and be like, yeah, we're hitting Denver here, or we're hitting Maryland here, or we're hitting this city or this state next. Like, how does it feel to just go around these different Barnes and Nobles and be like, boom, there's my book. That's hard work. That's like decade upon time of like I'm sure a lot of late nights, early mornings of writing, and you do all this work and you publish it online and you publish it here. How does it feel to go in a store to promote your book, to see it on a shelf, to see people come up to you, ask you like, what is that feeling like?
Oh, it's so surreal. I think I'm still in the pinch me phase of when somebody buys, like, takes my book away from the table. There's a part of me that's always like, if you don't want it, it's fine. You can just leave it here. No hard feelings, whatever you want. It's very surreal to me that people not only pick it up, but then take it to the cash register and then read it at home. It's so surreal. Um, because it's been just mine for so long, to
Yeah,
then see it as somebody else's is just so crazy. Because like you, I've had like a thought of, oh, this is how it will be, and it's 1,000 times better in reality than it ever was in the back of my mind. But yeah, going to Maryland, where we went, was
yeah,
the first out of state one that I've done. Um,
really.
yeah, so that was the first one, and oh my gosh, I was so split down the middle. I was so excited. I was like, we're getting it out of Colorado. We're going to somewhere new. Like, these people don't know me. And then the other part was like, you're gonna drive 3 days out there and sell zero books, and then you're gonna have to hang a U and go home. I was very thankful that didn't happen. I did
Yeah.
sell quite a few, and I was very pleased and very thankful for all of the copies I sold. But I was definitely like this two-sided conversation of like, yay, and like, you're an idiot for taking time of work off for this.
Nah, I think the fortune, for the bold really is like you. First of all, I didn't know. I remember you telling me that you drove, and I thought you were insane. Not for the fact of doing the act. That's commendable and that's awesome as hell. I've driven not all the way to. I've driven like from here, Maryland, to like Chicago before, or like Toronto
Okay.
before, and so like I first of all I hate driving, so I couldn't even imagine like doing that with that much anxiety of like I'm going there to sell like this, like just all that emotion just shows like how much you believe in yourself, but also like your work and how much you enjoy it. That's what I'm trying to get at, because that's really awesome that you're like, okay, I'm gonna go somewhere that I don't really know, I don't know market. And the story you picked too was just funny because like all of them is like that one I really think was like a pretty good location for like for what you're doing. It might seem very random to many people who are not even from in this state in Maryland. Like that's a very random city to go to, but I think the people in that community like really love books because there's a lot of bookstores in that city, like a lot. So I
Yeah.
think you picked like a really great one. Did you do any research to it, or was it just kind of like throw it to the dart and like see what's
Yeah.
good?
I have two friends. Well, I'm friends with a whole family out there.
Gosh,
Jess,
okay, okay.
Aaron, and Lauren, and their cousin Catherine. They're dear, dear friends of mine. They're part of that core group that was like, get this in physical form. So they lived out there. They currently actually still live out there. And so it was kind of
Gotcha.
hitting two birds with one stone, visiting some dear, dear friends of mine. And then I was like, well, if I'm going to be in the area, let's try to do a book event. So that's why I chose that area, is because they live there. Um, and I was able to spend time with them. They were actually I don't know if you remember, the group of girls that was behind the table with me.
Yes,
That
I
was
do. I do.
them. Yeah, they were my moral support team.
That's great. That's what's up. Yeah, no, I think that's because they were first of all they were very kind people. Like they were
Yeah,
very
they
kind,
are. They're
and they
they're
definitely
amazing.
you can tell they love and support you because as soon as like people were asking questions, like I peeped and they're like very like yo like nah this all Michelle this is what she this is what it is like here you get this book like you had a great squad. It was a great squad. And it was really cool
I
just seeing
agree.
that environment. Like, it was a very chill environment. You're very approachable
Oh, good,
to that. And there are
good, good.
authors that I love them to deal. Like when you go to them, they're very great people, but not everyone looks approachable. Even myself, like I'm not like the most approachable human being. So like I
Oh, I
understand
don't
that
think that at
vibe, but
all. I think that's your perception of yourself, which is always
listen,
harsher than what is in reality. And I will say, I have a very intense RBF face,
you do
and
not. I promise you do not.
well,
Don't
I've
wait.
worked on it because
Okay,
I was in the
okay,
wedding
okay.
industry for about 8 years. So I was a wedding
Got
coordinator,
you.
and you can't have a resting bitch face on the happiest day
Yeah,
of somebody's life. So I've
yeah.
learned to always have something going on emotion wise so that people
True,
don't
true.
think I'm just dying outwardly. So it's taken a lot of practice.
No, I feel you. I practice myself, so I can definitely appreciate and relate to that. Um, but I was gonna also ask, like, are there any particular writers or books or the forms of like art that have influenced your personal writing style? 'Cause I know you started when you were 13, so and you just taken off since, and you know writing as many books as you have, and really, and this is not like this is not, and these because my book's a lot small. This is not like a small book. This is some writing people. Like this is,
Yeah, I
yo,
can't
I'm
write
locking
small
in.
books. I've tried.
Yeah,
I can't
yeah.
write short books.
So this is, but this is like a really good side. This is like a proper adult. Like, yeah, I'm an adult now. Like when I bought this, I felt like an adult. I was like, yeah, this is. God,
Awesome.
I love comic books and stuff like that too. But I was like, nah, this is a proper adult. I went to the cash register. I was like, yeah, I want me one of these right here.
Have you
So
seen the second one?
I was that. Did you have it on your table?
I did. Oh, where is it? I thought I had it on my desk. It's double the size.
Yeah, a little bit
Um,
a thick one.
yeah, she thick. With two C's. Yeah, she. We have a lot more to say in that one.
Yeah, that's good though. And I think one thing also I should say too is that it's not just long or thick for like the sake of being like, yo, I just want a page count. Like I can tell you really did like, yo, this each chapter, each scene, each character, like it means something's going towards something is building towards this next thing. Not even necessarily just the next book, but just like a next, oh, this scene impacted this character a certain way.
Yeah.
They'll impact this. And I
Yeah, each
think that's,
scene should feed the plot, feed character relations,
yeah,
character development. It needs to have a purpose somewhere. It doesn't have to be directly to the plot, but yeah, character arcs, character bonding, even. It
yeah.
has to have a purpose. And I tried really hard to make sure that every scene had a purpose. So I'm glad that it came across that way.
No, thank you. No, it did, and that's why I was always curious. Like, did you have anyone that you were reading, either growing up or now, that you're like, okay, this is someone that motivated me, or even like something I took some lessons from, or just something that like really picked you up while you're like brainstorming ideas or stuff like that, like any other
Uh,
authors.
Yeah, I mentioned earlier Maggie Stiefvater and the way that she uses words to describe places, people, things, was really freeing to me to be like, I can just describe this how it is in my brain. And if it doesn't make sense, we can work off of that and try to make it make sense. But to just, this is my flavor of writing. So let's stay true to my voice and how I do things. Because I had an editor who was like, you can't, nobody talks like this, nobody thinks like this. This isn't how emotions are. Well, that's how I feel emotions in my body,
Mm,
in my life, and that. So obviously, I'm going to write from that
yeah,
experience. So I tried to write the way that she wanted me to, and it came across as very dry, in my opinion. So I
yeah,
going back to Maggie Stiefvater and her voice and the way that she wrote, I was like, I want to stay true to my voice and the way that I describe things. And then Erin Morgenstern, she wrote The Night Circus and A Starless Sea. Her writing style is poetry. It's just so beautiful and descriptive. And that really inspired me to like sit down and like hunker down in the details in the immersive world, the sensory world of each scene, to not be afraid to spend time on what the room looks like,
yeah,
what the feelings it provokes in each character, and how that drives different things. Just I really loved seeing that. And then kind of a different genre type, Rick Roydan, he wrote the Percy Jackson series. His characters are so vivid and they're just so stark from each other. Like there's no confusing who Percy Jackson is and Grover. Like they're so stark, and just seeing how they bounce off of each other, um, I think really set me out to when I started writing was I want my characters to be that vivid, that descriptive, that fleshed out and just full rounded. Like so when you go back to the series, or like when he's done quite a few spin-offs which are awesome, it feels like you're visiting an old friend because they're the same, but they've also developed a little bit from their last series. And I fully believe characters should be different people in each of their books because of the things that they've gone through. So when someone's like, "Oh, Michael Cale is my favorite character," it's like, "Well, what version of him? Is it in book one? Is Michael Cale in book
Okay.
two? What about Michael Cale in book three?" Because
Gotcha.
each book he's gone through different things, so he should be a little bit different. Like think about us in real life. You know, I'm not the
Yeah.
same person that I was last year, 5 years ago, 10 years ago, and so that should translate over into stories because situations and things alter who you are, and it happens all of the time in every single day situations. So that should be reflected in characters as well.
Yeah, that's hey, that's deep. Actually, yeah, and that's interesting. Yeah, no, because I feel like first of all, that's great things to take away from other authors who inspire you or you enjoy their work, and then to like take it into your own and like make it your own, like your own way of like, or your own like writing philosophy, I like to call it, or like add it to like
Do I
how you
like
want
that?
to do, make it your own. Is you know what I'm saying? I try my best. I'm 2 for 2 right now. I try my
You're
best,
doing good. You're doing
and
great.
and to use that like to use that to your advantage and like kind of like like I said, make it your own is the most important thing because it's always easy to like get motivation from others, especially others that have done it for a long time or have very like
Mm.
New York bestseller, all that stuff. But then to make it your own and apply it to how you can use it and only you can use it, I think it's something that's very unique and it's not easy to do. It's hard. It took me years to do that in terms of
Oh, for
filmmaking.
sure.
Yeah, so it's not easy. So that's so I want to commend you for that. It's just being able to do that because I feel like all those things you're talking about, like all those lessons and all those things that you incorporate into your own writing philosophy, helped you do the different like edits to your book and like helps you really finite, really like get that to chisel it out, make it to like okay, this is the product I'm comfortable with releasing, and like this is the product I'm really proud of that I
Mm.
spent time on, and to get it there. I think that's important, and so that's why I also like want to ask, what is the most rewarding and the most frustrating part about writing a book, in your opinion?
The most rewarding is, oh gosh, it's when it all clicks and you figured it out how to get from point A to point B. When you have all of the steps, you have all of the scenes, you have everything that you need to get from where you are to where you want to go. There's it's like magic. Just when that moment comes, you're like, this is what it's gonna do, and then it just like pours out of you. There's nothing else like it. The most frustrating part is kind of the flip side of that is when you have it in your brain, you know where you want to go, but you just have no words on how to get there. Like you're sitting there and you're like, I need Charlie to do this thing, but I don't know what words to use to actually get her to point B. And writer's block is a good way to describe it. It's just, I know where I want to go, but I'm just so focused on what words to use that it holds me back. And so one of my favorite quotes is, and I can never remember who says it, but I am constantly putting sand in the sandbox so later I can build sand castles. And that changed the way that I wrote forever because yeah, let's just get it out on the page and I can go back and be nitpicky as hell with the words afterwards, but I need the words to be there first or else we're just going to stare at a document for forever because I can't.
Okay.
I'm too perfectionist on what words to use. We can always go back, but you have to have something to go back to in order to do that.
No, that's yeah. You got bars, bro. You got bars. I'm gonna write that down. That's something that
Thanks so much.
I definitely struggle with writing a script. Like when I think yeah, when I first met you, I was almost yeah, I was in the middle of editing my first feature film. So like
Yes, that's
writing
right.
that writing that was like tough, and that's part of the thing that you were saying like about planning it and writing it out. I did a documentary, so it wasn't like really narrative driven. So I didn't have to like write a bunch of like dialogue basically.
Don't sell
I had
yourself
like clear
short.
dialogue.
That's still awesome.
Hey, thank you. But in terms of having like to go back to rewrite, it wasn't like I had to like rewrite dialogue, but I did have to like go back and think about okay, like you're just saying about okay, do I oh I'm really perfectionist about this, I want this. But I was like, okay, there needs to be something to go back to in the edit. There needs to be something. So I need to like film. I can't just be like paralyzed by all this over analysis I'm doing.
Mm-hmm.
I kind of have to like go out there and like do that. And so yeah, that definitely hits very deep, and I could see that being like writer's block, especially like when I'm writing scripts or something. That's definitely something that is definitely I think one of the most frustrating for any writer. To be honest with you, it's
Yeah,
something
you're
that's
like
crazy.
paralyzed by your own expectations, and you just
Exactly,
you need to be silly. Is maybe a better way of saying it is you need to be bad in order to be good. Just get it out. It's gonna suck. No first draft is
exactly.
magic. Um,
Yes.
but you can shape it later. But yeah, just give yourself permission to be bad.
That's real stuff. Especially it even comes to like I apply to jobs all the time. Like you gotta be bad. You're gonna be bad at this thing. You never done this thing before,
Hmm.
or you never done it to
Oh
this
yeah.
level, or something like that. You gotta give yourself grace in
Oh,
that
for sure.
situation.
Yeah, you don't know
Um,
everything, so it's okay to ask questions. It's okay not to know the answers. It's okay to ask questions to get those answers and to make mistakes, which is something I'm not very good at, but we're working on it.
hey, I remember like 30 seconds. I asked Michelle a bunch of questions, and I still DM her a bunch of questions. So like you don't know what I'm on. So like yeah, I'm one of those people. I'm a very like curious individual when it comes to it.
Which is such an
But
awesome thing to have. So I love
shout out to my mom, get it from her.
that.
Something I am curious about is we talked about your book. We talked about your motivations. We talked about a lot of we got into Michelle's head a little bit. We're like, okay, we're here. We're seeing the curtain behind all the work that you put in. So something I'm curious about when you're not writing, when you're not trying to figure out the next step, when you're not trying to keep churning away at your book. What are some hobbies that you like to enjoy? What do you do on your downtime when you're not trying to be the epic author that you are?
Oh, thank you. I have been and always will be an avid reader. I have a stack of books on my bedside table that continuously grows of books that I want to read. I heard this term the other day. It's a book dragon. It's different than a
Oh, book
bookworm.
dragon.
You just like hoard books. And yeah, I have one hobby of buying books, and then the other hobby is reading them. I'm also an artist, so I drew the cover for the whole Royal trilogy. Designed
Really?
all of those. Yeah, and then this canvas
Okay.
behind me and the vines on the wall, I've painted and designed. So I have a little art studio in my basement that I frequent very often.
So you like a Leonardo da Vinci? Like you?
Oh, I wouldn't go that far, but I do
Now hold
definitely
on.
enjoy.
No, hold on. We're gonna dissect this a second. Because now that you mentioned it, I completely now that I forgot. Cause this was like literally yesterday, I think, or the day before. You drew. I think you posted in your story. You drew like a melon. No, not. I said a melon. A lemon. A lemon. It was a lemon,
Yeah.
I think. And
Hmm.
then I think before that, it was a house or something.
Yeah, my room. So for my parents' 40th wedding anniversary, I
Yeah.
drew each of the houses that they had lived in throughout their marriage and like put it on a canvas for them. And it was super fun. My parents loved it. And then my roommate wanted to get the same thing for her parents for Christmas. So I drew some of the houses that they lived in across the country. I love doing sketches of houses. They look so charming and very cute. And then the lemon painting, I have 23 tiny, like 6 by 8 canvases in my kitchen of different desserts. I painted them during COVID
Gotcha.
because what else was I doing? And so I've forever have been wanting to do like a fruit and veg collection. So I started it by painting lemons yesterday, and that was lovely. Yesterday, the day before, I don't know. I don't even know what day it is anymore, but I have recently painted some lemons that turned out fine.
I need y'all to take my word for it. Whatever you, unless you're an artist, right? I'm talking about for me, talking to people like myself. Whatever you think of, like, oh, Michelle drew a lemon. No, 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 no. You need to understand, or painted a lemon. You need to understand. This was good. Like, I'm not talking about some like, dude. Like, you have to understand. I was like, what the fuck is going on here? I was
Well,
honestly
thank
taken
you.
aback because I saw the house thing first. I was like, I knew that you drew that, but at the same time, I was like, these look like some like, are you an architect? Like, are you some design? Like, I'm not even trying to
Awesome. I'll take it. I'll
over
take it.
exaggerate. This
Thank
was
you.
really good. And I saw the lemon. I was like, all right, what the fuck's going on? What's going on? Because I was like, you can't. This is too much talent. This is
Oh,
too much talent going on right now. You got
well, thank
books.
you.
You can draw and paint. I'm not. It's not. Especially like if you're talking about you painting the vines behind you, then obviously you're not bullshitting. You're telling the truth. So that's good stuff, man. That's a heck of a hobby.
Thank you.
That's a heck of a hobby. And before my parents get an idea, I cannot draw. I cannot paint. You're not getting no childhood homes. You're not getting no nothing. Just hey, I'm gonna go. I'm gonna go to Home Depot. Or I'm gonna go to like Best Buy or something. Get y'all some gift cards. You know what I'm saying? We'll think of something creative. But in terms of paintings, bro, that's why Michelle's who Michelle is.
But see, your
That's what
skill
that
set
is.
is poetry. Like, I could never write poetry. It's just not where my
You
brain
you say that
sits and
now.
acts. So the fact that you have a whole different skill set, and that's awesome.
I appreciate that, but I've wanted. I wish I had it. I really wish I had it with me so I could show you how bad I am as an artist, bro. I had. I'll never forget this story. I was in like seventh grade maybe or something, and you're in elementary school. You have art classes and a lot of this different like all this stuff, and we had to do a self portrait painting. And when I tell you, mine was so fucking bad. And I'm okay. It's okay. I can laugh at this because I'm just that's just not something I was blessed with. It was so bad that I came in one day. I came into class one day when it was due, and my art teacher like painted it. Like she just like she took my painting and actually made it look like me. And I still have it
No.
somewhere, but like yeah, it was. I mean, that was like it was, and I knew what I was doing. I knew it was bad, but I was like, listen, because she knew I was trying. I was like, bro, I cannot do this. I was telling her, I was
Oh
like,
my gosh.
I can't do. I'm not inclined like this way. So
You
like,
can't
she
touch
like
another person's
repainted it.
canvas. That's insane.
No, you have to understand. It looked like I never. It looked like I didn't know who I like. It looked like I told a 6 year old boy to be like, okay, you can only look at me once, and then you have to draw me from memory, and that's what I did. And
Well, that's what
so shout out
abstract
to
art
her.
is, right? Like it's a different art style.
Yeah, that would be all good if that was the job. But she was like, hey, I just want you to try. And we're all like seventh graders, so she's not expecting like Picasso, but she's just like, hey,
Right.
try your best. It looked like she didn't see me try every day like my damnness to do this thing. She would have thought I was fucking around. It literally looked
That's
like
awesome.
I did not try. So she was like, you know what? Just so you can at least have this to go home to, I'm a redraw. Like, and to her credit, she like took the same colors. Like she like literally like just restructured it to look perfectly like 13-year-old me. So I was more impressed by that than anything else. I was like, that's crazy because
I will
my
say I've
original
taken
was
art
also bad.
classes, so it's not just like I woke up one day and was like, we're gonna paint some lemons on this
Yeah,
canvas. I have taken
but like,
classes and I have practiced over many, many moons.
yeah,
So
and I've done so too. But there's levels, and you're there. So that's shout out to you, man. That's
well,
it's not
thank
easy.
you.
So that's why I give you credit for that. The last question I really want to ask you before we get out of here is like, you know, what are what are some goals you personally have for that you comfortable sharing, of course, that you
Yeah.
have for yourself as an artist? Like, and second part of that question is like, did you always like have goals for yourself starting out before you even released your first book, or was it like, okay, now that I'm on the ground running, now I have like goals I can actually like see myself having, like, down the line?
Honestly, I think I'm just here for the ride. When I
I feel that.
first published the North Tower, I really didn't have milestones that I wanted to hit or goals, just because I wanted to see organically how it would unfurl. And at least in my personal experience, sometimes when I have goals and it or expectations and it doesn't reach that, I take it super personally and super hard. So I just wanted to enjoy the journey as what it was and to see how it would go, and then just appreciate every single step along the way instead of being like, "Ah, was supposed to have sold X amount of copies this week and I didn't." Um, Instead, I'm just grateful for any order that comes through, or like this past year was the first full year that I've done book events. And so just to be so grateful for each one that came through, and I've learned so much through each one. Like next time I go to Maryland, I'm going to do a couple book events on that side
As
of
you
the
should.
country instead of just driving 3 days doing one and then hanging you at driving 3 days back. That was insane.
Yeah, that's different.
See,
That's
learned from
different.
it. So
That's
no, I
different. I
really
looked at
don't
you
have.
different. I'm not gonna lie to you. When you told me that, I was like, listen, you're great. You're an amazing human being. That right there was different. That shocked me. I
It's
drove
kind of
home
insane, yeah. But
different.
Taylor Swift said this, where you have to bet on yourself,
Yeah.
and that because no one's going to be your biggest cheerleader other than you, and if you are your biggest anchor, you're not going to go super far. So that was me betting on myself by driving 3 days to go to Maryland, and it worked out.
As you should. I'm
Um,
happy you did. No, it did. It did
yeah,
definitely work out. I'm
I'm
happy you
so
did.
thankful for the whole experience. It was a total highlight of this year. But yeah, I really don't have too many goals. I mean, I would love to publish 21 books at some point, not like all at once, that'd be crazy, but like to have
I
21
was like,
books
God damn.
under my name. Yeah, no, 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 that's insane. You would never hear from me because I would just be writing
Yeah.
all the time.
Yeah. I was like,
Um,
you be right.
like maybe I'll write more than 21, and I don't have the full 21 of what they would be. I think I have 13 or 15 of them planned. But that's kind of like a soft goal of just like, I like the number 21. It's one of my favorite numbers. Why? I have no idea. But to that's a soft goal. It doesn't have like by the age of 40, I will have 21 books out. It's just like whenever it happens, we will have it would be nice to have 21 books out. But yeah, I'm along for the ride and thankful for whatever happens along the way.
No, that's again, that speaks to your work ethic, your how humble you are, and just how much you appreciate and you don't take for granted what you're doing. Like I would say, like for me, it took a lot of like over time and like a lot of like really self reflection to really like before I even got my first book out, truly grasp how thankful I am and just kind of like really appreciate what I was doing and stuff like that. Because I'm very
Mm-hmm.
like next instead of like really sitting and like appreciating it. And so that humbleness comes in. Like so, it took me. I'm trying. It took me a while to get to that. To get to, even to this point, I still have a lot of room and places I want to grow
Oh,
into.
don't we
Like
all?
I
Oh my
think,
gosh.
yeah, and I think it will reflect in my writing too. Hopefully, that like my maturity that I've really gotten around the way, and just like more of a thoughtfulness is something I'm always trying to work on more. So that's something that I'm hoping reflects into my second book.
Well, and that's the exciting thing,
And
right? Is like your
yeah,
writing style progresses as you do. I mean, it's kind of frustrating because you're like, I'm such a good writer now, and back then I really wasn't. But that's the exciting part is like you'll only get better the more you practice the craft of writing and the more life experience and lessons you've learned. Your writing just gets so much better for it.
yeah, no, I agree, and that's why I was surprised when you said that Maryland's your first time like going out of Colorado and like really like you promote your book because to me you look a pro, you look like you were doing it for a minute. I'm like very honest with you because like
Yes.
I was like just before I approached up to you, I know I saw you talking to like other people and stuff like that, and like just how you conducted yourself and how you're able to speak to people of all different ages and how you're able to like explain your book without stuttering because I would have been stuttering.
Oh, that's
And
taken a lot of practice. I will not lie. My first book event, I like on the whole week leading up to it, the whole drive up, I was like, this is how you're going to pitch your book. Because any other time, people are like, what's your book about? And you're like, I don't know.
yeah,
I have no idea what this, like, I don't even remember what I wrote. Like, you can't, what? What are words? Yeah, that's the hardest question is, so what's your book about? Things and people, bro. Like, I
yeah,
have no
facts.
idea. But so, yeah, I will say I
Facts.
practiced that a lot, was getting that pitch
Yeah,
down. Or else I would just stare
because you,
blankly at them and then they would walk awkwardly away from the table without buying a book. So,
because you look locked in, you looked engaged to what you're doing. You're able to answer like a lot of my questions and just questions whether it's about the book or just about being an author in general. So you really conducted yourself very well. So I was like, oh, you
thank
look.
you.
You, I was like, this is a veteran. Like you know what I'm saying? Michelle's done this before,
I'll take it.
and
I'll
and
take it.
and that's what. And again, just speaks to your hard work, like you just said, like practicing and just different things like that. So I appreciate you making time for us here. Uh, Please feel free to promote anything you want. This is your floor, be your book, socials, whatever you got going on. Let the people know.
Well, thank you. Yeah. Buy the Royal Trilogy. Book one, The North Tower. Book two, The Master's Trial. Uh, book three is in the works. It is written. It is getting edited. But yeah, the Royal Trilogy has its own Instagram. It's underscore the Royal Trilogy underscore on Instagram. I post a lot of silly videos of me writing or talking to my characters or just hard things of being an author. And then my personal one is Michelle and Hagood, and that's where you can see some of my art and the the person behind the pages is kind of a fancy way of saying it. But it's just me living life with my two beautiful orange cats. So yeah.
There we go. And Michelle, thank you again so much. Y'all can find this episode on Spotify and Apple Podcasts. We appreciate Michelle for all the time, for writing, for being such a cool person. See you on the next one. Peace.